Hello, welcome to MHSCG's video lesson on 3D abstract design. In this lesson, you'll create a visually striking, non-representational abstract artwork that emphasizes depth and lighting. Abstract art visually breaks away from accurately depicting the true visual world. In this painting by William Harnett, he tried to portray the horseshoe as accurately as possible. Yet here in Gene Metzinger's abstract work Tea Time, we can still easily see it's a woman sitting down for a cup of tea. But abstract art can be pushed much further. Look at Jackson Pollock's Untitled. There's no identifiable subject matter whatsoever. This is non-representational abstract art. This is more the direction we'll be heading in this lesson. There should be no identifiable objects in your work. A baseball, even an abstract one, is not okay, whereas a nondescript sphere is. You will also focus on creating a sense of depth. Not only will the objects in the foreground be three-dimensional, but your background should create a sense of depth. Your composition should give the sense that I'm looking through a window into a whole other world, not simply looking at a flat artwork within a rectangle. Take this example. It is bright, colorful, fun, and certainly non-representational, but it severely lacks depth, let alone three-dimensionality. But in this example, not only are there wonderful three-dimensional forms in the foreground, but the background pulls you into the frame. This is achieved through a couple of methods. One is through the linear perspective of the lines, and notice how the abrupt change of scale creates distance. Or in this example, look at the use of atmospheric perspective. Notice how the octagonal rings desaturate and blur the further they are from the viewer. That, combined with the radial zoom of the background, really makes you feel like you're looking into the frame, rather than at it. Here are some other great examples. There's no need for preliminary sketches. Just simply create and see where it leads you. Open an Illustrator document. Dimensions truly don't matter, and neither does what you save it as since you're not turning it in. Create your form or forms utilizing the 3D capabilities of Adobe Illustrator. When complete, import them into your Photoshop document. Simply select your work, then just copy and paste them into Photoshop. It'll ask you if you want to paste it as a smart object, pixels, paths, or a shape layer. Choose what makes the most sense based on what you plan to do next with the object. Smart objects are layers that contain image data from raster or vector images such as Photoshop or Illustrator files. Smart objects preserve an image's source content with all of its original characteristics, enabling you to perform non-destructive editing to the layer. With a smart object layer, you can scale, rotate, skew, distort, perspective transform, or warp without losing original image data or quality because the transforms don't affect the original data. You can't perform operations that alter pixel data, such as painting, dodging, burning, or cloning directly to a smart object layer, unless it's first converted into a regular layer, which will be rasterized. To perform operations that alter pixel data, you can edit the contents of a smart object, clone a new layer above the smart object layer, edit duplicates of the smart object, or just create a new layer. Next, just complete your abstract composition. Add brushwork, filters, effects, layer styles, and anything you want to try. Here are some tips before you start. Remember, this is non-representational abstract art. You should not be able to identify anything in your composition as a real-life object. There's nothing wrong with using spheres, but don't be afraid to try other forms. Focus on depth. That can be created using overlapping, linear perspective, and atmospheric perspective. When overlapping, don't be afraid to have substantial changes in scale. For linear perspective, simply go to Edit, Transform, Perspective. And for atmospheric perspective, just manually blur and desaturate each layer as desired. Experiment with all the tools at your disposal. As you know, Photoshop is an incredibly rich program with literally dozens of options at your fingertips. Explore. Don't be afraid to click on something just to see what happens. Don't forget about layer blending modes. Photoshop has an extensive list of blending modes that can have a dramatic impact on your work. I encourage you to cycle through the entire list of blending modes with each layer and see if anything cool happens. Most of all, just be creative and have fun. Don't be satisfied. Continue to push your work to the next level so you can make something you're proud of. Good luck and enjoy.